What's up? What's up? What's up? Dadgic here. We got a new dumb brew to touch on today. Um, so, in light of the recent bannings, which I'd like to go on record as saying I'm not a fan of, I don't care that much. Honestly, I like playing with Mana Crypt and Dockside, of course, but it's not gonna, doesn't hurt so much. I just am not a fan. It's not the cards I would have banned. That's all. Right. So I wanted to build a deck that actively didn't want to play any of those cards, just to sort of soothe myself. Self. And so this is the dumb deck we landed on. And this deck is not. How do we describe this deck? In the primer, which we'll link, described it as it's your one more game kind of deck, right? Somebody, you've been playing for 3 hours and somebody's like, let's just play one more. And you're like, I have to go home to my kids. This is the deck that I'm going to bring. Because this deck is either going to win in about 15 to 20 minutes, or it's going to lose in about 6 to 7, right? That's it. There is no in between. This is a full-blown food chain combo cascade deck. That's all it does. It has one mode. You play lands, you cascade, you try and win. If your food chain gets blown up, you probably lose. If your food chain gets countered, you probably lose. If your Nexus of Fate gets exiled somehow, you probably lose. And that's it. Full stop. You just lose. So you can pack it in. You shuffle up and go home. No big deal. No harm, no foul. But that's not fun, right? That's not fun to talk about. So we'll get into the deck. There's a little bit more going on than just that. So, Maelstrom Wanderer is a 8 mana, 5 green, blue, red, legendary creature elemental. Creatures you control have haste, which is sometimes relevant. Is not necessarily relevant here. Has cascade, so cascade twice. Right, so if you can cascade into a 2-card combo, you just win the game. Right, in the initial build of this deck, we played Kiki-Jiki and Breaching Hippocamp. Right, you set it up so you're guaranteed to hit those 2 cards. Right, they're the only cards in your deck without Cascade or Discover. Right, and everything else costs 6 or more, or has Discover 5. Right, so you're always either hitting Kiki-Jiki or Breaching Hippocamp. And so then you have infinite hippocamps after the Maelstrom Wanderer triggers resolve, and you attack. Because they have haste from Kiki-Jiki, they also have haste from Maelstrom Wanderer. That was cool. But the problem with that is that Kiki-Jiki costs 5. Right, which cuts off a bunch of options, right? A bunch of cards, right? So we look at like Geological Appraiser, right? Has Discover 3. You can't run that if you're trying to hit Kiki-Jiki, because if you hit, it doesn't hit either the Hippocamp or the Kiki-Jiki, so that's just right out. You can't play Bloodbraid Elf, because if the first Cascade, well, I'm talking too fast. Bloodbraid Elf also doesn't hit any of the cards. Right? So that's so you want a combo that uses cards that are cheaper. I wanted cards that were cheaper, right? So I was already playing Food Chain deck. Food Chain and Squee the Immortal down here. Food Chain, 2 and a green, exile a creature you control, add X mana of any one color, where X is 1 plus the exiled creature's mana value. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells. And Squee the Immortal is 1 and 2 red. You may cast Squee the Immortal from your graveyard or from exile. 2/1 goblin. Everybody knows Squee, right? So these 2 make infinite mana, right? Which you'll notice is if we just played those 2, we would have Maelstrom Wanderer, and we would always hit Squee and Food Chain. And we'd have infinite mana, which means we could exile the Wanderer, and we could cast the Wanderer over and over again, and we would resolve all of our Cascade creatures except for like Apex Devastator, because Maelstrom Wanderer can't find Apex Devastator. And they'd all have haste, so we could attack for like a decent amount of damage, and maybe we'd get lucky and like Noise Marine would come last. We'd be able to throw around some extra damage, stuff like that. But it wasn't it wasn't what I was looking for in terms of winning the game, right? So the options were to scrap it, go back to Kiki Jiki, or to find a third card, right? And the thing about that third card was it has to not blow up the combo if you hit Squee plus third card, right? Because if you hit Food Chain plus random third card, you can probably like exile Maelstrom Wanderer and cast another cycling creature, or maybe not probably, but that potential is there at the very least if you hit Food Chain. But if you hit Squee plus another meh card, then you got to pass the turn. And we're talking about speed here. We want it to be dumb but fast because we want to either go home or win. So the third card had to be something that kept the combo going if you hit Squee. And it took me a while. And I was sitting there thinking about different options, like, okay, this, that, and the next thing. And then I was like, I'll just run the Kiki Jiki combo. This is dumb. And then I was like, no, we'll just no third card. We'll just go to combat and attack and, maybe probably not win. We'll just do some damage and call it a day. Lose to a sweeper, whatever. But then I texted my group chat, my buddies. And it's like, I need a combo that's in blue, red, green that that wins the game, and all of the pieces cost less than 3. And I had a buddy hit me back with I forget the exact cards. Azusa, Walk the Aeons, and the Dinosaur that lets you play lands from your graveyard. Right? Infinite turns. And it's like, okay, so if you hit Walk the Aeons, you do the buyback, you sack the lands, and then the next turn you cascade again into the other piece and cast it again, do the buyback. You can play 3 lands now. Okay, that's something. And then I was like, that's the right idea. That's what I'm talking about. But that's a little clunky, right? You have to make sure you have islands. Plus, you have to make sure you have enough mana to cast a cascade spell and the Walk the Aeons on the next turn. So it's clunky, but it's the right idea. And I was sitting there, I was looking at it, I was like, duh, Nexus of Fate. Right? Because Walk the Aeons is like replayable, and that's the key to it, right? But Nexus of Fate shuffles itself back into the library, which means it's cascadable again. And it costs 7, which is less than Maelstrom Wanderer. So, if you hit Squee and Nexus of Fate, you get another turn. You untap on that turn, you cascade again into Food Chain, since it's the only option, but not the only option. It's either Nexus of Fate or Food Chain, if and only if you play like Apex Devastator or Maelstrom Wanderer. Like if you play a Bloodbraid Elf, the only option left is Food Chain. So you're going to hit Food Chain. Squee is somewhere, as long as it's not in your hand. Squee is going to generate infinite creature mana, and now you have infinite turns, because you can Wanderer. The only target left in the deck is other Cascade creatures or Nexus of Fate. It's going to terminate at a 4-drop somewhere, or it's going to terminate at Nexus of Fate. And you can cast Maelstrom Wanderer over and over again by exiling it to Food Chain. You have infinite mana. So yeah, you got to do it, right? You can't just be like, oh, infinite turns, because it's not deterministic necessarily. Eventually you'll have no creatures left, and you probably have to do it a couple times to hit the Nexus of Fate, but you don't need to take infinite turns, right? You're going to get your creatures, and you're going to just do the thing. You'll attack a couple times and eventually win. You'll have a board full of critters and infinite turns. And you can keep playing your Maelstrom Wanderer. Everything has haste. It's just a beautiful mishmash of cards. I mean, nothing is particularly good at attacking, but you can do like things like, maybe Noise Marine ends up in the graveyard, right? Walk the Ancestors will put it back in your hand. And then you can cast it again to finish people off, stuff like that. You've got like Shifting Woodlands can turn into different things in the out of the mana base. Plus you get a land drop, unlike with the other combo that my buddy texted me. You didn't get a land drop that turn. You're spending all 3 of your lands to play them and sack them. So you aren't generating mana. You're going to draw, you're going to take infinite turns, you're going to get your land drop, you're going to have more and more mana, and eventually you'll be able to cast more expensive things. You'll be able to play this Apex Devastator. You'll be able to play this Call Forth the Tempest to sweep the board. Things like that. So that's the entirety of the combo. Right, we play 50 lands because we want to hit all of our land drops always and forever. We want to always drop a land. Plus, there's like no cards that matter. There's very few cards that are relevant, and we're going to touch on like how to round out the rest of the deck. As you can see, I only have 82 cards in here right now because the rest of it is totally up to you. We run all of the cascade spells that are relevant. We can look this up. We go to Cascade, we look at Cascade. What aren't we playing? These mention Cascade, but they don't actually Cascade. Bloodbraid Marauder costs 2, so it can't Cascade into anything relevant. Cascade Seer isn't a real Cascade card. Dark Apostle, like you could play, because maybe like Maelstrom Wanderer will give it haste, but it's like, you're not going to do that. It's not right. Thinking Herald will give your card Cascade ×3, that doesn't matter. The rest of these we're playing. Maelstrom Wanderer is our commander. Reign of Riches doesn't actually Cascade. It sets you up for later Cascade. And then Shardless Agent costs 3, so it can't hit anything. Violent Outburst costs 3, it can't hit anything. So that's it. That's everything. We play all the Cascade cards. We play all the Discover cards that are relevant. Whoops. Discover. You know, there's not so many. Like, you could play Chameel, right? Because you'll go off at your end step, right? But you can't hit, like, Nexus of Fate. If you could hit Nexus of Fate with Chameel, you might consider it. But, you know, you still have to be able to play Maelstrom Wanderer, so you'd have to pass the turn anyways, even if you set the combo up. Whenever you discover, that's not relevant. Itali's Favor is technically playable. The problem is we can't guarantee that there's a creature out there for it to proc off of, and it can only enchant a creature you control. If I could hit anything, then like somebody will probably have a creature, but it doesn't work that way, and I can't guarantee I have a creature, so we don't play it. I mean, you could probably play it and then just like not cast it. You know, that might be the correct call. We'll just add it real quick. The rest of these, whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, sure. That's just more mana. Trumpeting Connoisseur, obviously. These all trigger when they die. Zoya's Justice, you probably play too. Same reason as Itali's Favor. You target your own creature and then discover X. That's probably fine. We play all the hiddens just because we can. And so that's it. Now what do we got? We got 84 cards in the deck now. We got room for 16 more. Right, and let's talk about things we can play. We cannot play any card with a mana value less than 8 unless it like takes an extra turn. Okay, so it really clunks things up for filling out the deck. So we have a couple of, well, we have 40 cards in the sideboard. 40 cards that I've been looking at as what do we have? We have 30 Cascaders, we have 50 lands. 50 lands is about the number I like. The initial build was playing like 57, and it was fine. It doesn't make much of a difference. And these are not super relevant, like at all. These are just cards, right? I got some man lands in here, some removal. County Garden makes a creature, which is good with Food Chain. Care Keep can block. Mosswort Bridge can maybe catch something for free. Otawara, some removal, a little bit of life gain, some scry. One thing is, if cards end up in our hand, it becomes clunky. It's not impossible because we're generating mana and we're not going off too fast. So you'll be able to just cast a Food Chain, but like if Nexus of Fate ends up in your hand, then you're just waiting. You have to get to 7 because it's got to get out of your hand, or you're just doing the old school, like, oh, we'll just attack, I guess. Combo, we got the Sandstone Needle, Surprise and Scary. I didn't know the green one off the top of my head, so I just didn't add it yet. That's it. Like I said, these it's just 50 lands. Pick your 50 lands. Ancient Tomb, like if you don't want to spend $100 on Ancient Tomb, don't play it. It's not supposed to be a CEDH deck. It's just supposed to be like dumb and goofy, and to like end the day on like a funny note, right? This is like Commander at its most uniquely degenerate. So, how do we fill out the deck? We got 16 cards left. One thing we want to consider is ramp. How do we ramp? There's not a lot of ramp cards. We can't play Llanowar Elves, Birds of Paradise, Soul Ring. Can't play any of that good stuff that you want to play. Right, there's a couple of cards in here that we can play. Let's find them. Where are they at? I should have put them in. Considering, because then you can tag things. Moldering Gym. These rooms, these new rooms, good reason to play this deck. It's nice to play with new cards. They have a combined mana cost, right? So this is a 3 mana value spell that has a 9 mana value total cost, because it's the combined, because we had the split card with Cascade sort of weak, where there was the Busted Brain in the Jar combo deck. Yeah. So we can play Moldering Gym, which searches for a basic for 3 mana. The other side is irrelevant. And then the other mana, we got Spring to Mind, which does the same thing, searches for a basic. So we got 2 ramp spells. It's not a lot. Walk-in Closet, plays stuff from the graveyard. Forgotten Cellar lets you what's the word? Lets you play stuff from your graveyard. It's just like only this turn. It's Yawgmoth's Will. It's fine. It's fine. It's the kind of card you probably want in case like somebody's got some blockers and you can't get through them, some indestructible something, so you can play your noise guy, your noise cascader again, and ping them to death. Because once you get you can generate Infinite Storm. Unexpected Results is technically a ramp spell because it's probably going to hit a land, and if it doesn't, it will cascade into a combo piece. So this card's like fine. It's like 4 mana ramp. Right. And so we got like three ramp spells that we can play. Magnum Opus is like our 4th discarded to make a treasure. So we got 4 ramp spells that I like to play. Right. We'll just add this. Move to main deck. Move Spring Mind to the main deck. Move Moldering Gym to the main deck. And a Magma Opus. So we got a little bit of ramp. Not a ton, but a little bit. Now the one thing you have to keep in mind, if you want to play these cards, if you want to play anything outside of the initial build, like that 84 cards, if you wanted to add 16 lands, you could play it as is. If you want to play other stuff, you do have to be careful, because we have one card in here called something Motherlode. Where's the Motherlode? The Motherlode. Hit the Motherlode has discovered 10. Okay, and these cards generate endpoints for that cascade. So you have to cut the Motherlode. Right? You have to move that to the sideboard. Otherwise, it's like the 1%, but it is real, So just for completion's sake, we'll move that to the end point. We'll add a tag here. Ramp. Where did our other 2 ramp cards go? They're down here. Add last tag. Add last tag. So now we got 13 spots left. You could add some more lands. Basics. There's probably more special lands, more man lands if you're interested, but meh, I don't care. And there's other cool things. Blasphemous Act. You can get a sweeper. Right, it's good to have some It's good to have some removal. Right, we'll add to main deck because that's one of the better cards in this. In this list, I have a bunch of Emerge. Emerge creatures can be played for pretty cheap if you get them off of like a a 4 mana Cascader. You get a combo piece, then you don't have another Cascader. You can even play an Emerge creature to put some pressure on the board. Decimator Provinces can make a big attack once you generate infinite mana. What else we have? We have some Cyclers. Decree of Silence gives you a counterspell, which you don't have many of, so we want a little bit of interaction. We have 1 cycling counter. Commit to Memory has the split card situation going. That gives you a counterspell. Fast and Furious gives you some card draw and some removal. We don't really want card draw because we don't want to end up with good cards in our hand, but we do want to have some removal. Some amount of interaction is nice. Glasswork, Shattered Yard does the same thing. Move to main deck. We like removal and interaction. Jodzi, the backside of Jodzi is interesting if you're playing 50 lands. If you get it in your opening hand, it can be pretty explosive, but it's not like a notably good card. Rough and Tumble is a pseudo sweeper. What else we got? When you unlock this door, Manifest Dread. We don't really want to do that. This is just a, it's just damage each opponent equal to the number of lands. That's just like some spot damage, and we don't care about that. Evoke, we can make a 4/4. Right, the rest of these cards are sort of like just things to do if your combo gets stuff. So you don't actually have to scoop if you don't want to. You have a little bit of play left in the deck. We got 7 cards. We don't want to play 57 lands. So Boom and Bust is like super annoying. And we like to be annoying. Achroma, Morph cards are great. They get you some cheap creatures. I like Heracast a little bit. Gives everything a merge, makes everything a little bit cheaper. But yeah, you really have these 6 slots can be whatever you want. I'm sure there's cards I've overlooked. These prototype cards are cool, right? You can get 3 2/2s for 5 mana. What's another prototype? I think there's another prototype right in here. Maybe not. Oh yeah, Depth Charge Behemoth. You can get a 6 mana 6/6. Like nothing good, but something to do, right? You want to do something. You don't just want to sit there with your finger up your bum, just doing nothing. So that's the whole deck, right? We got 6 spots left. Let's finish it off here. What's the 6 best cards from this? I'm gonna play Heragast because it's the coolest of the bunch. I had these Morph guys in there. They're not good. They only get 1 cheaper, which is stupid. So you pay 3 and then you still gotta pay 9, which is 12 total, instead of just waiting 1 more turn and playing it for 10. I guess it can attack when you flip it up and sneak in for 13, but it's dumb. Some of these emerge creatures aren't any good at all. This is like a 1 mana, a 3 mana 1/3 that you can pump. I guess it gives you something to do early. It's better than doing nothing. Having basic land cycling is not nothing. This one will make a 2 3/3s. Yeah, it gets a little tough, but Cavern Horde Dragon makes mana under the right circumstances. Jadzi because it can be explosive, and the last card for the memes, we'll play we'll play the Vexing Scuttler because we can get an instant or sorcery back into our hand. That could be relevant. So that's the deck. Full blown Cascade Food Chain Combo Wanderer. And that's it. That's all you do. You play Cascade spells. You hope to hit some soul lands. You got Ancient Tomb. We got Scary, Sandstone Needle, Untidake, the Cloudkeeper. Soul lands are great. Scry lands are great. Get some creatures out there. Mosswarp Bridge maybe. Hidden Nurseries, Hidden Cataract, Hidden Volcano to finish things off. And yeah, hopefully you got a timely commit if you need it. For interaction, because you don't get to interact much. It's just not, it's not what we're doing here. We're trying to win or lose in 20 minutes. And that's the whole deck. Comments, comment on Moxfield, comment on YouTube, hit a like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff that everybody always says. If you don't, it's cool with me. But I do love comments. I'd love to engage. Also, if you're like me and like the puzzle of a deck like this, I am looking for a 2-card, 2 mana combo, right? So I'm talking 2 2-drops that can combo, right? You can use a 3rd card. That 3rd card can be Nexus of Fate. I'm down for that. I think that's an interesting wrinkle that can be abused, but I don't know the 2-card where both cards are 2-drop combo, and I haven't been able to find it. I've looked on and off. That's what I want, so that I can run Violent Outburst. You get a couple more. You get a couple more cascade spells. You get the ability to go off faster. Like technically speaking, we can go off on turn 3. This could be a turn 3 combo deck. Right, that's pretty good for a joke. Okay, but if I could go off on turn 3, that's cool. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I'd be down for that. So, let me know. I mean, ideally, like I'm thinking something that can, cascade into 2 cards that make infinite mana. Both of them cost 2 or less, and then we cast the Wanderer to hit the Nexus of Fate, and somehow win from there. I don't have it all figured out, obviously, but I want it. I want it to get to cheaper, right? Because then we can cut couple of cards. We get 2 more 2 more Cascaders, probably some Discovers, and the more Cascade and Discover we have, the more consistent we're going to be, right? Because some of these are bad, like Maelstrom Colossus. We're probably not going to be casting very much. Like technically it's a Cascader, but it costs 8, right? The good ones are these 5 4s. 5s and 4s. This one has Retrace, that's nice. This one costs 2, that's pretty cool. It's a little clunky if we don't have a creature, so I'm not even sure I want to play this. For the same reason, I'm not sure that I want to play Itali's Favor, right? If we hit it off a Cascade and we don't have a creature, like I don't want endpoints, so like even these 2 will probably go. I'd love to replace them with Violent Outburst and the green-blue creature, but we're not there yet. If you have any thoughts, let me know. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.